Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Welcome back. Today, we are opening the final cluster of Sūrat al-Maʿārij. If we look at the outer, historical reality of these verses, what scholars call the Zahir, we find ourselves in 7th century Mecca. A crowd is gathering. People are craning their necks, looking toward the Prophet, and splitting off into scattered, derisive little knots. This animation models a modern psychological concept called de-individuation. When we join a group, our individual identity submerges into the crowd. We shed our personal restraints, and the cluster gives us permission to mock and scorn in ways we never would alone. From within that crowd, a strange expectation arises. The people mocking the truth fully expect to be ushered into a garden of bliss. Psychologists call this the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where unearned certainty replaces actual qualification. The loudest demands for reward often come from those with the weakest claim to it. The text does not respond with an immediate threat. Instead, it tells the prophet to simply leave them be, let them wade, and let them play. Researchers studying mortality salience, how we react when reminded of our inevitable death, have documented this exact response. Humans consistently reach for distraction to cope. We immerse ourselves in busy work, entertainment, and self-esteem defense to avoid sitting in silence with the reality of our own end. The play named in the surah is actually a structured, desperate avoidance strategy. They keep themselves frantically busy to outrun a day they secretly know is coming. Classical mystics like al-Ghazali read these verses for their batin, their inner spiritual reality. They recognized a profound psychological truth. Haste itself is not a sin. The frantic, sideways energy of scorn and the vertical, uplifting energy of spiritual longing are the exact same motion. The only difference is the horizon you aim them toward. To cure the misdirection of this energy, verse 39 reminds the prod-ego of its humble biological origins, a drop of fluid. The Sufi masters saw this biological fact as crucial medicine. By returning us to the microscopic, humble drop we were formed from, the Qur'an dissolves the heavy, brittle ego. It lightens the soul so it can travel freely. Arrogance requires a fiction. It demands a self that believes it was always grand and self-sufficient. When a seeker plainly remembers their biological reality, that story collapses under the weight of its own biology. With the ego deflated, God swears a cosmic oath by the Lord of every sunrise and every sunset. Notice the plural. The text specifies the sunrises. This astrolabe maps the sky's mathematics. Due to Earth's axial tilt, the sun arrives from a slightly different point every day. This unyielding precision shows a creator who cannot be outsmarted. Yet inside this cosmic power, Sufi masters heard an immense, quiet mercy. In their reading, every new dawn gate represents a fresh invitation. Every time the sun clears the horizon from a new point, a new door of return opens for the soul that wasted yesterday's chance. The power that terrifies the scoffer and the endless invitation that comforts the penitent are the exact same sunrise. The only variable is the state of the heart looking at the horizon. The surah closes with one final searing image. The crowd bursts from the graves, sprinting with the exact same frantic energy they once used to chase their worldly idols. Psychologists study a phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. We sprint desperately toward a worldly goal, a promotion, a prize, a status, expecting it to deliver lasting bliss, only to quickly return to our baseline level of happiness. We hurtle toward the finish line, only to discover it is a bare, unrewarding stone. The tragedy of this wasted sprint is written directly into their bodies. The craned, arrogant neck of the scoffer in verse 36 becomes the lowered, downcast gaze of verse 44. This graphic illustrates a biological reality. Scientists studying athletes around the world, even those born blind who have never seen another human being, found that when faced with crushing defeat, we all do the exact same thing. We slump our shoulders and cast our eyes downward. It is an innate, biologically wired display of shame. The posture you choose to take toward the truth in this life dictates the biological posture you will be forced into in the next. For the next 7 mornings, step outside or look out a window and find the exact place the sun comes up. Watch how it arrives from a slightly different gate each day. Let that subtle shift remind you of the open door. And as the day takes you, ask yourself, is the goal I am rushing toward right now the true reality, or am I just sprinting toward a stone? Lord of every sunrise, turn my hurrying from sideways scorn to the upward climb. When I am most certain I am owed the good, return me gently to the drop I was poured from. Show me the real goal, and open for me, each morning, the new east, the door of return I did not use yesterday. Amin. Thank you for watching. Please forgive any errors in my understanding. This concludes our journey through Sūrat's next chapter.